Welcome to the Development Process section of the Community Microgrids Planning Academy. Here we will provide a high-level overview of the key steps needed to develop, build, and operate a community microgrid. This development process discussion complements two other core sections of the Academy. The Basics section provides a broad overview of microgrids, what they are and how they can provide value to local communities. The Planning section goes deeper into the first step of the microgrid development process, effective planning. Because this step is so critical to determining how a microgrid might work in a specific community, or if a microgrid should even be considered in a specific community, the Academy provides special guidance on the steps needed to create such plans for your communities. All three sections work together to provide a solid introduction to what a microgrid is, how the process of developing a microgrid unfolds, and where microgrid planning fits in. The microgrid development process unfolds in 5 key phases. During the planning phase, critical data is collected, potential sites that can connect to the microgrid are identified, and a preliminary microgrid development plan is created. The next step is the technical feasibility study. In this phase, a much more detailed design of the microgrid is developed. A cost-benefit analysis is done to determine the optimal configuration of the microgrid itself. A potential ownership structure or structures are identified, and a financial plan is developed. Taken together, these 4 components create the final microgrid development plan for a specific project. During financing and procurement, a financial strategy for the project is identified and developed. Final engineered designs are created, and bid documents for the final construction and procurement of the project are created. During construction, financing is obtained, contracts are awarded based on bids received, equipment is procured, and the distribution system for the microgrid is constructed. And the final phase is operations and maintenance, which is an ongoing process once the microgrid is completed, up and running. This slide provides very rough estimates of both the relative costs and the potential time frames for developing a community microgrid. Emphasis needs to be placed on the words very rough estimates. Actual costs and timelines can vary widely, depending on the scope and structure of the microgrid project and the capacity of a community to engage with the complex but potentially rewarding process of developing one. In addition, the timelines for many of these phases may overlap significantly. That said, we can take a look at these phases in terms of their estimated costs and estimated timelines. The planning phase is relatively inexpensive. It can possibly be completed with local government staff, perhaps supplemented by professional services at a fairly modest amount of expenditure. The process should take somewhere between 6 to 12 months, depending on the complexity of the microgrid being thought of and the capacity of the community where the microgrid will be located. The next phase is significantly more expensive, the technical feasibility study. This requires professional energy engineering services and can take something on the order of 12 to 18 months, again depending on the size of the microgrid being considered. The financing and procurement phase basically entails expenses for administering the process of searching and obtaining financing and the process of creating the bid documents that will be used to procure the construction services and equipment that will make up the microgrid itself. This might take 6 to 12 months. That's a fairly fluid number and may cross over with other phases of the project, specifically the feasibility study and/or the start of construction. Construction of the microgrid infrastructure is by far the most expensive phase of the project and can take from 12 to 18 months or longer, depending again on the complexity of the microgrid, the number of sites connected to it, and the generation assets that are used to drive it. And finally, operation, the cost to operate and maintain the microgrid on an ongoing basis. These costs will also vary depending on how large and complex the microgrid is, but are relatively modest compared to the overall cost of construction that preceded them.